Hey folks, happy Friday. Hope your end of the year celebrations are going well. As usual, my name is Jake Baldino, and here we're talking about gameranx's top games of 2025. The gameranx video crew here, we all put our heads together and came up with a list of some of our favorite games. Some might surprise you, some are totally predictable, but it's just the stuff we loved. It's our personal opinions, and we couldn't cram everything in here. Obviously, your tastes, your choices are going to be very different, so we're looking forward to hearing yours in the comments, but it's been a hell of a year. Cue the montage that we always play on screen. We've been doing this for a long time now. Thank you so much for showing up every year. And we honestly take this list less and less seriously every year. Because hey, we just like talking games, keeping it informal. So on behalf of me, Atul, Daniel, Eric, Juan, Kevin, Andrew, and of course Falcon, these are our collective picks here in no particular order. And it's been a hell of a year. Like I said, we couldn't fit it all in here. It was a year where Silent Hill returned, Metal Gear Solid got a surprisingly good remake, a Monster Hunter came, we had big games, small games, indie games, AAA flops, all kinds of stuff, but here's what we dug the most. The first game is going to be one that doesn't surprise you if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, but it's Hollow Knight Silksong. The game became a meme for so long, people were waiting for it for what felt like an eternity, but it lived up to the hype. It lived up to the anticipation. Hollow Knight Silksong is a hell of a game. It is massive, and absolutely it delivers on what the original game set up in terms of atmosphere and presentation and art direction. All of that is so incredibly unique and inspired. Yes, it is just a game about weird little bugs, but it's got so much heart and emotion behind it. But also, it's got the gameplay chops to back it up. Hollow Knight Silksong is incredibly challenging, yes, but also super in-depth. There's so many more moves, better movement compared to the original game, and some incredible boss battles. Yes, there are some BS run back parts, but the game as a whole is just so compelling. If this is your flavor, it's a really, really good one. This is going to be a cringy comparison. Some people don't like this, but like how Elden Ring was to Dark Souls formula, I feel like Silksong is to the original Hollow Knight, where it just feels like it's so much bigger and it keeps getting bigger. The more you play it, the more it unfurls so many surprises in front of you. It's just a hell of a fun thing to play. Yes, again, if you've watched any other YouTuber out there, they've probably put it on their list too, but it's a good game. There's no denying. And we're going to stick with another predictable choice up front here, get it out of the way. It's Expedition 33. At this point, yes, it has won every single Game of the Year award under the sun, and I think for good reason. It's a hell of a good game. It's a great adventure to play through. Yes, it does some great RPG stuff. It feels like a little bit of a throwback and a nod to classic turn-based RPGs, but also a step forward from the gameplay, but also the presentation, because the story, the world building, the tale it tells here is absolutely great. It's engaging. It's got characters you fall in love with, a story that has something you can really sink your teeth into, and endings worth talking about and worth pondering over. Along with that, in my personal opinion, the best video game music, the best score I've heard in a long time. The themes in this game, the battle themes, absolutely incredible. Also, I called that this game was going to be great in like July of 2024, and none of you guys listened to me, but here we are now. Of course, the whole narrative behind the game too, like it kind of shook up the process, shook up the formula where games are getting bigger, more expensive to make. They take so many years and armies of people. Expedition 33 kind of upended that a little bit. Whether you care about the inside baseball or not, it's just a hell of a good game. I love the story. I love the characters. I love the gameplay. That's all I can really ask for. Next up, here's one you may not have heard of, but it's Kingdoms of the Dump. This is a charming indie JRPG about a world just gets covered in garbage. Now look, lots of indies attempt to copy that playful silliness of the Super Nintendo era, you know, the SNES era. We've seen it a lot, but with this one, it really captured the spirit of games like Earthbound, Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI. So if any of those are up your alley, this might hit. This is like a beautifully detailed, fully fledged RPG where your party of like kind of like trash people have to save the lands of Phil from this junky, gunky menace. Along the way, you're gonna fight these like creatures that are crazed from eating the Tide Pods. You stop a conspiracy of a fortune-telling 8-ball. Like it's insane and weird, but it does a really good job like balancing the serious stuff and the zany stuff. Like it just commits all the way. It also features some of the best sprite work we've seen in a game like this in a while. It's just a hell of a good adventure to play through. If you're playing it on like a handheld device, even better. But Kingdoms of the Dump is definitely one that like like criminally flew under the radar this year. But again, if you like an Earthbound, a Chrono Trigger, a Final Fantasy VI or so, check this out. Next up, we got Hades 2. Hades 2 is worth playing if you love the original, absolutely. But even if you didn't experience the original, this is a good jumping off point because it's just another damn good one. More combat opportunities, a lot more going on in the moment-to-moment gameplay, but still the great character writing, dialogue, and heartfelt storytelling that you expect from the first game. Hades 2 is a roguelike, and yes, you've probably heard of tons of those or played tons of those, but this is just an incredibly refined one. They took what they learned and really honed and fine-tuned with Hades and its long early access period, and then had an early access period with the second game, and just knocked it out of the park with the full release. The feedback, the feel of the combat, the design of the levels, the weapons, the way all the action goes down, it is just so engaging moment to moment, and it'll very, very quickly get its hooks in you. Next up, one that we all universally really felt strongly about on the team here is Split Fiction. From a gameplay perspective. On the one hand, the story, it keeps it light, and I don't think it really changes the world. It's a story of two young female writers. One writer writes sci-fi novels, the other writes fantasy novels. And then one day, all their work gets sucked up into an AI machine, and they get sucked up into the machine, and they essentially have to run, jump, and play through their worlds and adventures that they built. Now, that's cool, right? This whole concept is creative. The characters are great. The voice acting is charming. But it's the gameplay. It's the variety on display here. Every sequence is completely different. One section you're running through a war-torn medieval city with orcs. The next second you're running and jumping on flying cars in a cyberpunk city. The way this game varies things up and keeps them fresh and also does some great nods to classic video games is just awesome to play through with a loved one, a best friend, a son or a daughter or a cousin or a younger brother or sister, anyone. Haze-like games like It Takes Two previously, they're just special. They're just really fun to play through. The way they make you work together, the way they make you think and interact when you're playing with your co-op buddy. There's nothing else like these games, and Split Fiction really keeps that momentum. Again, the story didn't really hit for all of us here too hard, but the gameplay variety is unmatched. It's killer. Not to mention the end sequence of the game literally amazed us. The technology on display and how they did some mind-bending effects really felt like the wonder of video games. It really warmed over our cold video game cynic hearts. I still don't know how they did it, but it's really impressive to see. So check out Split Fiction. Next up, don't forget, it was a year that Nintendo launched a new console with the Switch 2, and one of our favorite things to play on it by far was Donkey Kong Bonanza, which followed up a couple of months after the release of the Switch 2, and it's just a hell of a fun game. That's all it really is here, is raw, pure, distilled fun factor. It's a very simple game, and it admittedly feels kind of different for a Donkey Kong game in a lot of places, but the punching mechanic, the breaking stuff mechanic is so engaging, and it's just a great, fun 3D platformer. It's got DNA of something like a Super Mario Odyssey, yes, but also the original Red Faction, which you might think I sound crazy, but if you're old enough to remember that game and you play this one, you understand. It's incredibly charming, and yes, it is tailored to younger audiences, younger players, sure, but it does have some really engaging moments. The boss battles are clever and cool, but they're very easy. Still, the moment-to-moment stuff and all the secrets you kind of find and how the game gets bigger and bigger as you play it just makes it, I think, a must-play. If you like lighthearted, good, goofy, rompy stuff, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a no-brainer. And now, next up, one of my personal favorites of the year, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This is a massive game. It takes everything from the first game and makes it all bigger and better. Swordplay feels better. The worlds are bigger. The worlds are more detailed. The quests are more interesting and multi-layered. The story of Henry only gets more and more complex. The characters more memorable, charismatic this time around. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is one of those games where you can really dump a ton of hours into it, really living in this world. It's very different from the games I'm about to mention, but if you like kind of just really sinking into the world of Skyrim or sinking into the world of The Witcher 3, right? And just doing quests and just wandering around, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 really hits on that. Even though it's going for a bit more realism, it's got so many engaging and cool quests and just good worlds that aren't like the massive, like most biggest overstuffed things in the world, but they're going for quality over quantity, and that really shows from the moment-to-moment gameplay. Like I said, the questing, the RPG elements, but also the story itself. The voice acting, the presentation, everything here is insanely ramped up compared to the first game. I love this more than the first game, but I think if you're just jumping into Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, you can. It sets it up pretty well. And there's a learning curve. You know, there's a hump you kind of get over in the beginning of the game. It's rough, but once you surpass that, it's just such a good ride. Next up, a game called Look Outside. This is one of the most grotesque games of the year, but it's also one of the funniest. So this is a cosmic horror survival RPG that's just like bursting with these incredibly insane monster designs and just creative stuff. Almost every encounter in this game is unique and horrifying or hilarious in a way that you'll only get from a single developer making a very weird game in his spare time. That's the case here. So to survive the strange event that changes anyone that looks outside their window, you have to team up with dubiously trustworthy neighbors and scavenge for food or just play video games and hope this whole situation blows over. It's just a really cool concept. The framing device is awesome. The pixel art is the real standout here, though. There are, like, again, all these crazy awesome monster designs, just things, creatures, grotesque things that we've never really seen before. This game is just a real good spin, and if you're looking for some flavor, something that's a little different, if you're burnt down on all the endless remakes and sequels, consider Look Outside. And speaking of something weird, Death Stranding 2. I wasn't sure if this was actually going to squeak on our list, but a lot of us here really enjoyed Death Stranding 2. It's a bigger, crazier version of the original game. It's definitely much easier, but also there is a ton more to do. It immediately engages you with a ton of interesting and weird and wild tools for Sam to navigate the environment and encounter and take down enemies with way better stealth and gunplay. Not to mention an engaging story with way more cutscenes, way more dialogue, and way better pacing this time around compared to the first game. Is it still a bunch of like Hideo Kojima nonsense? If you don't get him, you're still not going to get this. Yes, absolutely. But you've got more awesome characters this time around, bigger bombastic moments, some crazy sci-fi elements, and just shit I have not seen in a video game, let alone a movie or anything before. Death Stranding 2 delivers on a lot of those moments. While the slow, deliberate, contemplative walking around delivering stuff is kind of amped up this time around, you lose some of that original wow factor of the first game. You get a lot of just great, solid, memorable video game moments here. Again, some great boss battles, cool encounters, and of course, a lot of weird Hideo Kojima zaniness. Plus some great performances by some actors, and once again, a really damn good soundtrack. Sam's story in this one goes some places I really didn't expect, and all of us here were just happy to be surprised. Another one, a solid year for multiplayer with things like Battlefield 6 absolutely being awesome, Black Ops being all right, whatever. But for us here, one of the biggest ones was Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is a great take on the extraction shooter formula, something that we didn't think could like get blown up into the mainstream, but it seems like it's starting to be because Arc Raiders has really gained traction. People are really enjoying it because it's a fun third-person shooter, PvPvE with great loot elements, good shooting mechanics, some insane sound design, and creative world building. Engaging the robots that inhabit this world, it's like so much fun. But the best part is teaming up with other people to do so. The game has really interestingly evolved in a lot of ways, and how player encounters and how people naturally encounter each other and decide to help each other or kill each other. We've seen it in games before, but for some reason in Arc Raiders, it just feels like people have been really down to try to play along and negotiate and figure things out. And it's been so much fun seeing all kinds of weird, creative, funny, wild moments just pop up from this game. You see clips on social media, and Arc Raiders just really feels like it's hitting different. With what on the surface just kind of looks like a third-person sci-fi shooter, just is a lot more. It's really engaging players, and we're excited to see where the hell it goes next. So that's our main list, but there are still so many other games that we couldn't cram in, and things that we were kind of arguing about. So we have a lot of honorable mentions. The first is Hell Is Us, a really creative third-person action-adventure game that is flawed. Yes, the combat isn't great, but the world building and the puzzle solving and like the mood and atmosphere is absolutely awesome. Also, Dune Awakening. If you like survival games and you like Dune and the world of Arrakis, Dune Awakening does a really good job. There's a hell of a lot of game here to chew through, and we're surprised this game hasn't been mentioned more over the last year, because it's actually cool as hell. Also, another one we think hasn't been mentioned enough is The Alters. The Alters, in a lot of ways, is kind of like a fun 3D version of Fallout Shelter, you know, like the kind of mobile Fallout builder game. Here, you're building out a space station that you have to survive in, and all your different rooms, like, you know, the med bay, the food, the power station, the research station, has to be staffed by people, but you're one guy stuck on this planet who can clone himself. So then you have the story elements here where you're cloning different versions of your character, and you get to see how other versions of yourself interact. What if one version of yourself broke up with this girl? What if one version of yourself decided to go to college or get a different job? The way this all goes down is really interesting because there's great dialogue choices. Plus, Alex Jordan, the voice actor here, I think did an incredible job voicing a million different versions of one character. Also, Blueprints. It's been a really solid year for puzzle games. There's been a lot of them. Puzzle, mystery style games, Saints of Blake Manor, another one, but Blueprints really hit us here the most. It's an incredibly in-depth puzzle game. You can get a lot. It's a roguelike puzzle game that is very inspired by first-person puzzle games like The Witness, but it brings this randomization to the table that just really shakes things up. The game is constantly changing with each run, and there's so many secrets that it can feel overwhelming, but in a good way if you're a puzzle game junkie. Also, Outer Worlds 2, Obsidian's latest game. I know Obsidian was talked about a lot this year because of Avowed and how that didn't hit for, you know, every RPG fan, but I think Outer Worlds 2 does a really good job building on the original Outer Worlds. Is it very much more Outer Worlds in terms of vibe and style? Yes, but I think it takes things a little bit more seriously this time around, and while it's not like my favorite RPG ever, I think it does a really good job with the RPG elements and the character building stuff. The way you build out your character and the way that character interacts with the world and how skill checks goes down just feels unique and creative, and it feels like Obsidian really flexing their RPG muscles. It might not be mentioned in a lot of end of the year roundup videos, but we wanted to squeeze it in here. But there's a million other ones. Peak, Absalom, Repo, Mycopunk, Jurassic World Evolution 3, JDM for my racing games fans. Like, there's too many games to squeeze in here, and that's kind of the point, right? So again, these are some of our picks. We want to hear yours down in the comments because we're still here, man. We're talking games for as long as we can exist on YouTube. So we'd love to hear your choices. Maybe we'll talk about them in another list or top 10 or whatever video soon. But either way, from me and the rest of the team, thank you very much for watching us in 2025. If you've been watching for like 10 years or you've been watching for 6 months, whenever you jumped on board, we're so happy to have you. And thanks for putting food on our table. Just watching us talk about games all day. We really, really appreciate it. We are grateful, and we're looking forward to what 2026 will bring, man. Seems like a lot of games are releasing. Obviously, GTA 6 is the talk of the town, but there's a lot of other stuff ramping up. So we're happy to be along for the ride as video game fans, and we're glad you guys are joining us. But that's it. I have absolutely yapped enough. So thank you very much for being here. Happy 2026. We'll see you guys soon. I'm Jake Baldino. Pizza's on me.